A very good afternoon to all of you. How are you all? I hope I'm clearly visible and audible. Just confirm it once. Right, so we meet for the ninth part of our ongoing series 500 must know vocabulary words. Right, so we've already had 8 parts, right? That means we've already covered approximately 450 words here, right? 400 words here, right? 8 parts we've already had. Today, okay, we'll cover 50 more words. So, do go through those parts, right? It's important that you revise the things that you learn in vocabulary, the words that you learn, the roots that you learn, their meanings, their usage, their synonyms, right? So it's important that you keep revising them from time to time. Okay, without revision, you'll keep learning new words but forgetting the older ones. That's not what we want, right? So let's learn some more words today. I have direct vocabulary questions for you, contextual vocabulary questions, and a couple of fill in the blanks here and there, right? So let's learn new words through questions. Okay. So direct vocabulary, as I've told you time and again, it comes in almost all your OMETs, right? All your other management entrance tests. And it's important that we know the synonyms and antonyms of various high frequency words, right? That's also the point of this series, to teach you high frequency words. So let's look at our first question for the day, a synonym question. Just a second, the chat is not visible to me. Let me just, hello, is my message visible? Because I don't see any message from you here. Let me just open this again. All right. Good afternoon, Pratyusha. Now your messages are visible to me. Right. Perfect then. So this is your first question. See, ideally you should take about 20 seconds for a synonym question, right? These are 20-30 second questions, not more than that, when it comes to direct vocabulary. So let's have a look at this. The word is defunct. Give me the synonym of this word, defunct. I'm good, Rajesh. How are you? All right. What do you say? I think 20 seconds are already up. Good to know, Rajesh. So let's hope we achieve our objective this time. CAT or any other OMET that you're preparing for. Right. So what do you understand by this word defunct? Give me the synonym. What has happened to you all? Okay, Archita says C. All right. Others? Oh, that's awesome. That's really great to know, Rajesh, uh, that you got into TISS. All the very best. And I'm sure you must be having a great time. TISS is such an open-minded college. It's a breath of fresh air among B schools. So welcome and all the very best. Shri Archita, you say C. Good afternoon, Shri. Okay. Defunct, you say C, which is obsolete. That is the synonym. Correct. If something is defunct, that means it's no longer functioning. D here is a negative prefix, right? It indicates not, and funct means not functioning. So obsolete had to be the synonym here. This is a very easy vocabulary question. Okay, the kind that you can spot in exams such as CMAT, such as the easier questions of MAT, CT, right? Or in fact, the vocabulary of TISS is also not very difficult. Although you do get vocabulary questions there also, you don't get highly difficult vocabulary questions there. So we need to practice a mix of difficulty levels. This was an easy question. What does this word inchoate mean? Let's learn a new word through this question. Inchoate. Something that is in means again not. Coate is something that's clear, clearly formed, right? Inchoate is something that is not clear, not clearly formed in its initial stages. So something that is not clearly formed, something that is in its initial stages is called inchoate, right? For example, if let's say I am confused about whether I should let's say have Korean food for dinner or not, right? So a very small confusion I have. So right now my wish to eat Korean food may be inchoate. Okay, I'm not very sure whether I want to have Korean or not for dinner. So it's an inchoate wish that I have. It's a not so clearly formed wish that I have. That's why probably I'm unable to decide. Right? Okay. Extant. What is extant? Again an adjective. Correct, Pratisha. Just started for inchoate. Correct. Extant. Extant records. You must. So this is the context in which I have heard this word the most. Extant records. So extant means surviving. It is usually used for very old things that are still existing, that are still surviving, right? So we could say extant records, some past records that have been in existence for a long, long time. Let's say some records, some documents that I found from 1000 BCE, right? So I call them extant records, right? Extant document, extant records, extant, let's say artifacts. They mean surviving, still existing, used for very old things. Okay, so here our answer is C. I think operative, all of us understand something that is operational, something that is operative. What does it mean? The word is related to operation. So, operative. How is it different from operational? Or is it the same? So something that is in force, something that is functioning, okay, that is called operative. And yes, in surgery you use it for, let's say, an operative procedure. So she has undergone an operative procedure that is related to surgery. That's a different meaning. Otherwise, the general meaning is something that's functioning, operative, right? Okay, and it's similar to operational. Operational also means something that is functioning. Okay, now coming to our next question for the day. So here, see, we learned two words at least, two new words, extant and inchoate. Let's come to our next question. Tell me the synonym of disingenuous. Disingenuous. What do you say? So this word has a lot of prefixes. Yes, two prefixes, one suffix, disingenuous. What does it mean? What is the synonym? Archita says A. Okay, others? Mayank also says A. More responses. Okay. Now Archita has changed her answer to D. Vedant D. Vinayak also says D. Shri says D. Okay. Ritik D. All right, let's see. Absolutely correct. So you had to notice the word, the fact that there were two prefixes. That's why, I repeated that. Uh, I emphasize that rather for you. Disingenuous, right? If I break this word, this is how this word has been created. These two are the prefixes here. This is the root gen. Okay, and this is the suffix OUS. OUS is a suffix that indicates having the quality of. It is used when I want to turn a word into an adjective. Okay, having the quality of, right? Ostentatious, having the quality of being extravagant. Disingenuous, having the quality of not being naive. Ingenuous means naive, ingenuous means innocent, gen means born. Ingenuous means as if this person was born yesterday, has come into this world yesterday only. So this person is so innocent, so naive. That is ingenuous. Disingenuous means this person is really cunning. This person is not innocent at all. This person can in fact deceive you. So deceitful is the answer, absolutely correct. Not A, not B. So the word, I mean, you have to pay attention to the prefix this also here. It's the opposite of ingenuous. Intrepid, we have done this word. Remember, we did doughty last time. If you remember doughty, and I told you it means somebody who is fearless, somebody who is brave. So intrepid also means somebody who does not experience trepidation, who does not experience fear. So fearless. Right? Excellent. All of you said D. D is the answer. Now, we learned the word disingenuous, and for some of you, intrepid could be a new word. Okay. What about this word fulminate? Yes. What does this mean? That is really good, Ritik. That your accuracy is 80% to 90%. That's an amazing accuracy. So you have to give me the antonym, remember. Okay, so reading the question instructions. So here I haven't written the full instructions for you. Okay, but reading the question instructions correctly is very important. Okay. What does this mean? What is the opposite? Shri says C. Okay, others. What do you say? Vinayak also says C. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting C's. All right. So I was just looking at the pronunciation here. So actually both the pronunciations are acceptable. Fulminate is also correct. Fulminate is also correct. So in case you want to pronounce it as fulminate, even that is fine. Okay, so I was just checking if fulminate is also acceptable. It is. Right. So C is what you've said. Absolutely correct. Praise is the antonym here. As you can see, protest and rail, both are synonyms. Right, so this is a way of elimination. If both of them are synonyms, right, it is, I mean, it is very less likely that any of these is going to be the answer, right? So you protest against something, you rail at something. At is the preposition that we usually use after rail, but it also means that you're protesting, you are, vehemently against something. That is what rail at also means. So she railed at the education system of the country, right? So protest, rail, eliminated. Now, between C and D, praise, eviscerate. Yes. Let's look at this word, interesting word. This viscera. What is viscera? Yes, this is a word in itself, viscera. So these are cavities of our internal organs, right? Especially the abdominal organs. Okay. So when you eviscerate, it actually means as if you've removed those cavities, those internal organs themselves, right? In fact, eviscerate literally means this only. When animals are eviscerated after killing them, their guts are removed, right? Their internal organs are removed, right? So that is eviscerating. Now, when you when I talk about it metaphorically, ये तो literal meaning हो गया, but I use it metaphorically also. So when you eviscerate something, or when you eviscerate, let's say, a person in a non-violent context, it means you are removing that thing of its essential content. Remove of its essential content. So it could be anything. of its essential content, right? So this is how we use the word eviscerate. So let's say there is a law from which some of the most forceful measures have been removed. So you feel that now the law is very in, they could as well have repealed, as well, they could have repealed the law as well, right? Now the law does not carry any force. So you would say, they have eviscerated the law by removing those two provisions, right? They've removed its essential content. So eviscerate does not relate to fulminate in that way, that it is the opposite, and that's why D cannot be the answer. You're absolutely right. C is the answer. My intention here was to tell you about this word fulminate. Both the spellings are acceptable, both the pronunciations are acceptable, and to explain to you the word eviscerate, where it comes from our internal organs, viscera, especially our abdominal organs. It has a literal meaning to remove the guts of animals, okay, and it has a metaphorical meaning to remove something of its essential content. So you can now use it very well. Okay, yes, the word visceral. What does the word visceral mean? So visceral also comes from viscera. So what does this mean? Of course, again, the literal meaning is something related to viscera, something related to those organs. But again, it has a metaphorical meaning too. Our visceral feelings are our very instinctive feelings, very deep-seated feelings in us, right? So this relates to our instinct, our inward feelings rather than our intellect. So if I say, she experienced she experienced a visceral desire, okay, she experienced a visceral desire to meet him. Right. So that means it was a very deep-seated feeling in her. It was not related to anything rational, anything intellectual. She just wanted to meet him at that time. So she had a visceral desire to meet him. Right? So something related to our instincts, our feelings, and not really our intellect, our rationalizing faculties. Good, good. Visceral hatred. Yes, we experience visceral hatred for someone. It's again, it has to do with our feelings. We know that we shouldn't hate that person. Logically, it does not make sense to hate that person, but we hate that person. Visceral hatred, right? So viscera, visceral, eviscerate. Excellent. We learned a group of words, a chunk of words. Now, let's talk about antonyms. Yes. So tell me, what is the antonym of this word? Immutable. All right. Can eviscerate be used for sorrow and sadness? If you know, basically it indicates something. In a way, it indicates something sad only, that you are removing the essential content of something, right? So that's why you may have read this. You may have read this in a in a sad context, and that's why you feel it. Can it be used in the sense of sorrow, right? So it is used in negative context, but it's not necessary that it will always be used for sorrow or sadness, right? B, D. You can use it in a legal sense also. For instance, I used it for a law. You could use it for a project in your company, right? B, D, C. All right. So I'm getting very different answers, varied answers here. I want to give, yes, meaning is C. Correct, Fusion. The meaning is C. And so the answer is D. Yes. So immutable. See, mutation is change, right? Mutation. Um, so many words come from this. Commute also comes from this mute only. So when you commute, you go from your home to your office, let's say, or to your college, and then you come back. So you're changing your physical position. Yes, changing your location. So that's why it's called commute. Immutable, mutation, all of these come from this root mutare, as we call it, right? So immutable is unchangeable, and therefore the opposite is variable. It does not have anything to do with muting the volume. Okay. So these were just to confuse you. A was just to confuse you, right? Explicit, yes. Again, not related to immutable. It is not about something being explicit and implicit. It's about changing something changeable, something not changeable. And what about, okay, let's say there is a person whose habits cannot be changed. What will such a person be called? Yes. Let's say I want to say he is a or an dash liar, a habitual liar. You can't change him. So, what is the word for that? Those who've done word par made easy would know this. Yes. Hmm. Let's see. Let's check how many of you have actually done the book, gone through the book. So actually there are two words for it. One is incorrigible. Incorrigible. The other is inveterate. Inveterate. Both mean habitual in such a way that you can't change the habits, right? So if I call someone incorrigible liar, that means you know that this person is going to lie and you cannot reform this person. Incorrigible. Inveterate is a synonym, right? So both are acceptable here. So we learned the word incorrigible and inveterate for habits that cannot be changed, immutable simply for anything that cannot be changed. It doesn't necessarily have to relate to habits. ठीक है? All right, then let's come to some contextual vocabulary questions. Today you are a little less participative. I don't know why. Yes. Look at this contextual vocabulary question here. Read the instructions carefully and then tell me which answer is correct. Yes, please listen to our team. Do press the like button. In case you've been learning new words, you can actually do that. Okay, I've got one response. What about others? Ritik says A. Mayank says, okay, it's C or 3. All right. Okay. Eliminate and you'll get it. Fusion says 2. That's it. 3, 4, 5. 6 responses I've got. What about the other students? That's a minority of the class. It's not even 50% of the class. Okay, I'll tell you the answer. I know the answers, right? This whole session is for you. This person needs the counsel of a psychiatrist. Counsel, see, counsel is used as a noun also and as a verb also. As a noun, it means advice. Okay, so when I seek someone's counsel, I seek that person's advice. As a verb, it means to advise, right? So advise is a verb, right? So when you counsel someone, what is the job of a counselor? In schools, in some schools, there are education counselors. What is their job? They actually advise students regarding which careers to choose. In case they have been struggling with some emotional, mental issues, they go to their counselors, right? Similarly, therapists are also called counselors. They advise you regarding, I mean, again, any emotional issues, any mental issues that you've been facing. So, counsel is to advise, and this here has been used as a noun. This person needs the advice of a psychiatrist. A is correct. The moment you realize this, 3 and 4 anyway go out of the window. Now, let's look at C. Each of the brothers on the council was gifted in some way. Each of the brothers, no, just substitute advice here. Each of the brothers on the advice. Does that make sense? It does not. Actually, the word that should be used here is council. Council. Each of the brothers on the council. So the examiner was trying to trap you because of these two similar sounding words, okay, and you actually didn't have to fall into that trap. So 2 is the answer. B and D are correct. I am a scientist, and if I don't know an answer, I seek advice from sharper brains. A similar advice of moderation, not indulging in something in excess, okay, was given to the Canadian press in connection with the Manitoba school question in December 1897. Okay, so a similar advice of moderation, of not indulging in something in excess. So 2 is the answer. Yes. A council is a group formed for a specific purpose. For instance, we all have municipal councils, right? What is their job? To keep our surroundings clean, to solve the local problems that our particular district or our particular area is facing, right? So 2 is the answer here. Okay, match the following. Now, there is a word here, and the meaning of this word, you will find the meaning of this word in these sentences, right? So, I mean, you have to match the word with the meaning. Let's see what you say. Now, this is a previous year question, okay? So, this is a previous year IIFT question in front of you. Yes, Shri, correct. Counselor. A counselor is a person who is leading a council. So, if let's say there is an issue of lack of hygiene in your area, okay, you go to your counselor. If your surroundings are currently flooded, you go to your counselor for that. Vaishnav, 47 is a really good score, and that too for your first mock. Okay, so if let's say currently you are at a 47, gradually you'll take it higher. Okay, in the let's say after 6-7 mocks, your scores initially they fluctuate. Initially they may fluctuate your scores, but gradually they go higher. So I don't think you have anything to worry about here. Okay. Last year at a 38, you had a 99 percentile. Okay, A is what you say, Vedant, Ritik, Shri, Imam. What about others? I've got 4 A's so far. So see, the thing in these questions is that you may not know the meaning of each and every word, and that's okay, because you should know how to smartly eliminate, right? If you know that, then it's not a problem. So for instance, this was the easiest one for me here, to make do with something, because I see this expression being used often, right? She's making do with whatever she has. So basically she's managing with limited means, right? So C is one, and the moment you realize this, see, this is a previous year question. I didn't make it, okay? I actually included this question today to show you that sometimes a question may look so difficult because of some words, but actually it's an easy question because of the options. So, excellent, all of you who said A. All right. Okay. Now let's look at the meanings of the other words, because we are here to enhance our vocabulary. So, reify. When you reify something, you make it appear more real, more concrete than it actually is. Right. So, this person, she made such an abstract theory appear so concrete. Let's say I am explaining something, I'm explaining the theory of relativity to you. Now you feel, oh, this is such an abstract theory, इसको कैसे समझे? And I immediately take some examples and relate the theory with those examples so that it becomes very easy for you to understand it. So what I have done is I have reified that theory. I've made it simpler for you. Okay, so this is the meaning of reify. Now, bricolage, yes, bricolage, interesting word. Bricolage is something that is composed of a number of other things, right? Something that is composed of a number of other things. For example, the rock garden in Chandigarh, it is made out of waste, right? So it's a bricolage of waste materials. So rock garden has been created from a collection of waste materials. So it's a bricolage of waste materials, something that is constructed from diverse other things. And it's not just used for buildings. Okay, it can be used for, let's say, some chaos or confusion. So for instance, let's say there is a novel that has a lot of characters, a lot of parallel storylines running, right? So you could say that, this novel, the bricolage of this novel is incomprehensible. I didn't understand the novel because there were so many characters with each with a different storyline, right? So it can be used for anything that is composed of diverse things. Okay. Then bricolage is this four. So B is four. Then we come to fetish. I'm sure that you haven't heard fetish in this context. They believe that the stone has magical powers, something having magical powers. So a charm, a talisman, right? Having magical powers. These are synonyms: charm, talisman. Usually we hear the word fetish in terms of desires, right? So I'll give you that meaning first and then we'll discuss this one. So fetishes are obsessive desires, obsessive interest in something, right? These could be sexual, these could be non-sexual. So you may have heard it in a sexual context, right? People have different fetishes. Then in a non-sexual context also, if you have some very eccentric, let's say, interests and you're obsessed about them, right? For instance, let's say you are obsessed about collecting mm, the records of various Korean bands, right? So you have a fetish for the records, for such records. You have a fetish for such, let's say, ग्रामोफोन के अगर आप records collect करते हो, so you have a fetish for such records, right? Now this is another meaning. So any stone, any charm that is believed to have magical powers and bring good luck, it is usually used for something that brings good luck, not something that will bring you bad luck. That is also called a fetish. So here again I'm using it as a noun, right? So this is the second meaning, and this is the meaning that was used here, D2. Okay, but then there was no scope for getting confused in this question because the options were so easy. Does this make sense? You've learned, I think, 3 new words: reify, bricolage, and a new meaning of the word fetish, right? Okay, perfect. Then let's go to the next question. Contextual vocabulary again. You have to find the correct meaning of the underlined word. Okay, and it's a very easy word. 5 options this time because some of your exams give you 5 options. Tell me. What do you say? I want a lot of responses, then only I'll discuss it. Yes, re means again here, reinforce in both reify and reinforce. Re means again. So the prefix is re. I've got B, C, D also, but mainly B and C. That's what I see in the chat box. Let's discuss. So, uh, you had to give me the meaning first of all, not the opposite. In case you know the meaning of stymied, then this was an easy question, right? But in case you don't, just read the context, read the sentence. It is the lemur's motion that spurred the evolution of its pseudo-thumb, okay? But it is the panda's motion that stymied the evolution of its pseudo-thumb. So there's a contrast here. Spurred, when you spur something, you actually trigger its growth. So it triggered the evolution of its pseudo-thumb or encouraged it. But so now there is a contrast. That means stymied should relate to stymied should mean the opposite of encourage, right? So encourage is not the answer. Impel, which also means to drive, force, encourage, this cannot be the answer. Abet and instigate, which also mean to encourage, cannot be the answers. All of these are synonyms, right? Just that this is a positive word, whereas the other three can be used in a negative. In fact, A and C are definitely negative, right? This can be both positive and negative. So you see here, they are very similar words. None of them can be the answers. It is thwart. To thwart again means to stymie, to stop the evolution, to restrict the evolution, to suppress the evolution. Okay, so stymied is suppress and thwart is the synonym. Abet, when you abet a crime, abet is a negative word. Okay, so when you aiding and abetting a crime, so you know this is a charge put on people that you are guilty of aiding and abetting the crime. That means you encourage the crime, right? Instigate, they instigated riots in the city. To instigate riots is to provoke riots, right? So instigate is also a negative word. Impel is to drive someone to do something, to urge. So in the sense of urging, it's positive, you know, you're motivating, you're encouraging. But it could also mean to force someone. And in that sense, it is negative, right? So let's say my family impelled me to keep doing that job even though I was not happy in it. So here it is used in a negative sense. Okay. Now I think this is clear to you that B is the answer. Okay. All right. Now coming to our next question. Again, a similar question. Just give me the meaning of the word. Impel versus compel. Yes. What is the difference? Impel versus compel. Good question. Commonly confused words. When you compel someone, compel is definitely negative. Okay, that means you are forcing them. Okay, you are pressurizing them. So this is a negative word, compel. Impel, on the other hand, can be positive also, as we just discussed, right? So for instance, let's say your family impelling you, you know, they could impel you to take up a new project when you don't want to take it. When let's say you may be hesitating to take it, it's a good project for you, but you may be a little hesitant. You may feel that you are you don't have the necessary skills, but then they impel you, they drive you forward, right? So this has a positive meaning too, right? So that's the difference. Okay. Contextual vocabulary, correct meaning of the underlined word. Ritik says D. Okay, I think there's one more option. Sorry. Yes, five options. So we have some very simple words here. Some words could be new for you. Good. Most of you say C. C is the answer. Perfunctory. It means cursory, superficial. Right. So, for instance, when we meet people at parties, we normally ask them, "Oh, hello, how are you? How's everyone at home?" These are perfunctory greetings. Right. We may not really be interested in knowing about them in depth, but it's something that we do in a superficial manner out of etiquette. Right. So such the example that I've given you, these perfunctory greetings are also called pleasantries, exchanging pleasantries. So I was busy exchanging pleasantries with Ria. Right. So perfunctory is cursory. She gave me a perfunctory handshake. That means she didn't really want to shake hands with me, but because I extended a hand, she just went along with it. So C is the answer. Fragrant and blatant, no, they are not the answers. They both are synonyms, and it means doing something that is when you are very indulging in something wrong in a very unashamed manner. So for instance, her blatant disregard for rules has always irritated me, right? So blatant means something that's very outrightly wrong and people do it unashamedly. So doing something outrightly wrong in an unashamed manner. Okay, that is blatant or flagrant. And after this, you will say her flagrant action, her flagrant disregard, her blatant violation, etc. This is how it is used. Right? So, our answer is C here. You're right. Cursory is the synonym. And I hope you'll now not forget the word perfunctory, pleasantries, blatant, and flagrant. Now, four options here. Yes, just four options. Fill in the blank. Our last question for the day. Yes, blatant corruption. Correct, Sri. Let's see what you say. Last question. The author's latest work has been criticized as being dash in fact and in argument. Elaborate is something that is done. So when let's say you have an elaborate meal, that means it is going to have a lot of dishes. It will take you a lot of time. A lot of planning has gone into it. Right? That is elaborate. Similarly, an elaborate ritual is again one that takes a lot of time. So, for instance, a wedding can be a very elaborate ritual. It is detailed, it is complicated, it takes a lot of time. So, here, mourning someone also in some cultures can be a very elaborate ritual. So, that is what it was talking about, right? Something that is long, complicated, with a lot of planning. The author's latest work has been criticized as being dash in fact and in argument. It has been criticized. So that means I'm looking for a negative word. What would that word be? Hmm. Now, there are three negative words here, just one positive word. Venerable is a positive word. It means somebody who's very esteemed, very respected, a very respectable personality is a venerable personality. So, of course, we won't criticize something as being venerable. Now, what is insuperable? Have you heard it in some context? Insuperable. In is a negative prefix here. Super is something that is over, above something. So, insuperable is a negative word that is used for some obstacles that are impossible to overcome. Okay, you can't overcome them. Invincible, let's say, insurmountable obstacles, unconquerable obstacles. So, those are your insuperable. Now, here we are not talking about any difficulty or any obstacle. So, insuperable does not fit the context. Even though it's a negative word, it does not fit the context. Okay, between A and C, why have you chosen C? Yes, why not A? Insouciant. Why not C? This A is insouciant. What does this mean? What does this word sue, the root sue mean? Okay, so souciance is when you're concerned about something, right? Insouciance means when you show a casual lack of concern, right? When you are very nonchalant about something, very indifferent towards something. Okay, so it's about your nature actually. But here we are talking about facts and arguments. We are talking about the logic of something. So when something is not very logically sound, we could say, logically it's vapid, right? In argument, it's not making a very forceful argument. I am not convinced, right? The argument is not very forceful. It's very uninspired, right? It is very bland, so it is not offering me a convincing argument, and that is why C is the answer. Vapid in fact and in argument. Right? So good that you marked C here. Between A and C, C is better. The others could be eliminated. Right? And yes, you can actually join us on various social media platforms. We keep sharing interesting shorts on our YouTube channel as well as on our Insta handle. So, in case you want to know about various exams, various updates, notifications, tips, etc., they're available on both of them, right? Our YT channel, our Insta handle. I don't check Facebook a lot, you can check it, right? And you can download our app. We have various sessions for CAT there as well, right? And of course, a lot of free practice tests. Okay, then. Thank you for attending. This is it from my end. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. See you.